check this one out. This is kind of investigation one. Phoenix PD failed to adequately discipline officers. Pages 110-11. The Department of Justice found multiple issues with how Phoenix disciplines police officers. PHX PD affords officers multiple opportunities to challenge findings of misconduct or negotiate discipline, according to the DOJ's findings report. The report continues, PHXPD does not track how other findings are charged. It goes more and more, but just get to it.
The Department of Justice says Phoenix police go too easy on officers who engage in misconduct, and the city fails to discipline them adequately. I'm ABC 15 Chief Investigator Dave Biscobing, and we're back again breaking down the DOJ's historic report and turning it into a special video series. To follow along, scan the code to get an official copy of the DOJ's findings. In this story, we're showing multiple cases cited by the DOJ that highlight how officers are able to negotiate and influence how they're investigated and punished. And now a warning, because the first case you're about to see is of a deadly shooting, and it's difficult to watch.
First, and all new at 6:30, the family of an Ahwatukee man wants answers from Phoenix police after he was shot and killed by officers right outside his front door.
Phoenix Police! Officers responded to an apartment complex in the middle of the night because a neighbor called earlier claiming they heard arguing. It turned out it was just a family playing video games. How you doing? Whoa! Put your hands! The victim was Ryan Whitaker.
I know there's people out there, they're saying, hey man, your brother came to the door with a gun. He got what he deserved. He had what he got coming to him. Well, I say this to those people.
You know what? You know who the motherfucker say that shit? Oh, he got what he deserved. Oh, you know, what kind of person shows a gun? Answers the door with a gun. I don't know. A person that's going to exercise his Second Amendment constitutional activity. It's not illegal to have a gun in your own home. Oh, he got what he deserved. Oh, yeah. It was like, oh, yeah. It's like, oh, why can't you respect police officers? Oh, just back the blue like the rest of us. Yeah.
My brother had no idea police were on the other side of that door.
Whitaker's family notes loud music in the apartment, also pointing out you can hear music when the officer is interviewed.
I was instantly in fear for my own life and for John, and I saw him going right towards John with the firearm, and I then shot and ended the threat.
Here's what the DOJ report wrote about the case. In 2021, Phoenix PD terminated an officer who shot and killed a man only seconds after he answered his apartment door. The Civil Service Board reinstated the officer 5 months later, and he remains employed by Phoenix PD.
From the time Ryan opens up the door to when Officer Cook pulls the trigger lasts about 5 seconds. It appears no aid is rendered to Whitaker for roughly 9 minutes.
Where's the justice? There's been zero accountability. And people wonder why. Not people, Phoenix PD wonder why. There's lack of trust right now in the Phoenix PD.
The DOJ found several issues with the way Phoenix carries out discipline. Quote, Phoenix PD affords officers multiple opportunities to challenge findings of misconduct or negotiate discipline. But complainants are not allowed to attend the disciplinary review board and may not present evidence or testimony. Federal investigators also wrote the city goes out of its way to let officers sway the process. Quote, Phoenix PD does not track how often findings are changed as a result of officers' repeated opportunities to influence investigations and their outcomes. But we found that these opportunities, which exceed what the law requires, have led to overturning findings or downgrading discipline, even when the underlying factual findings have not changed. And the DOJ report listed multiple examples about this. Here's one of them. Quote, one officer avoided termination by persuading Phoenix PD to convert his discipline to a suspension. The officer was arrested for driving with a blood alcohol level of 0.154, which qualifies as an extreme DUI in Arizona, while carrying a firearm for which he was not certified. At the time of the DUI, the officer had been with Phoenix PD for 2.5 years and had been found to have violated minor policies in 3 prior investigations. The officer had a disciplinary hearing scheduled with former Chief Williams, and for reasons not apparent in the file, Phoenix PD canceled that meeting. Instead, the officer struck an agreement to take a 120-hour suspension and a written reprimand. Less than 1 year after serving this discipline, the Public Standards Bureau investigated the same officer for starting a sexual relationship with the victim of a crime he was assigned to investigate. The Disciplinary Review Board recommended termination. The former chief again rejected termination and imposed a 240-hour suspension with a last chance agreement. The officer remains employed at Phoenix PD.
Happening at the Phoenix City Council today, one of the largest settlements in the city's recent history.
And that takes us back to the shooting we first showed in this story. Remember, that officer also remains at Phoenix PD. Even though the DOJ report notes that the city paid the victim's family a $3 million settlement.
For me, it's not enough.
And while the dollars won't bring back Ryan's smile, for the police department, she hopes.
It makes them open their eyes and realize they need to change. They need change.
This is one of several stories in this series highlighting how the DOJ says Phoenix PD fails to properly police itself. In previous stories, we showed how the city ignored complaints and failed to conduct thorough investigations. And in our next story, we're showing how they failed to adequately supervise officers, miss obvious warning signs, and how the city used to delete misconduct records. All of that and the rest of our special series can be found at abc15.com/DOJ. I'm investigator Dave Biskobing, ABC 15, Arizona.